I've re-recorded this video many times, but today I'm bringing you how to throw like Paul Mcbeth part 2. This is gonna go cover all the fundamentals besides very basic things like X step, etc. So in part 1, I talked about the hips, getting that last step, keeping your arm loose, not trying so hard. I want to address a few things in the first video. Some people were talking about how the discs were like completely different flights. Very valid point, and I wasn't necessarily like thinking about that when I was making the video. I threw a beat up fairway driver, a Pro Boss, and a Nuke OS. So you can imagine those are very completely different discs. They were just sitting in my car and I had the idea to make the video. That out of the way, you will see me throwing from the side at some point in this video, and it's nothing special. I'm just throwing about 60%, throwing a little bit of a hyzer, so I am leaning a little bit forward, which might not be super evident. Anyways, let's get into a few things today, which I think will help you guys in combination with the first video, those tips, because I went into more detail about my thoughts on those tips, especially for generating some power. But let's talk about two things. One, body angle, and then we'll talk about grip. So I do like something maybe slightly different for grip than maybe some other people do. Let's talk about body angle. So body angle is super important, basically shot shape and everything else. Essentially, this controls hyzer, right? Like if I'm just holding it flat like this, if I lean over, all of a sudden, I'm gonna throw a hyzer, right? And if I lean back, I'm gonna be throwing an anhyzer or a roller, right? So it's very subtle on the angle that you wanna put yourself on. So if I'm throwing a very slight hyzer, I'm barely leaning over. And everyone's slightly different body type, right? Everyone's got different bone lengths and whatnot. So it might look a little bit different for some people than others. But for me, like a slight hyzer would be just here. The other thing is this axis, so the shoulders. I think about this axis being the shoulder. So if I am throwing a hyzer, right, I'll be leaning over. But if I tilt this shoulder up, all of a sudden I'm throwing a spike hyzer or over the trees. And if I'm tilting it ever so slightly down, like this, I might be throwing down a hill. I feel like some people overdo these angles very often, especially kind of in the amateur division. You'll see people have this in mind, but they'll do it way too much. On the other hand, every once in a while, I'll have a bad drive and I won't realize like, hey, like I really just need to put my shoulder up to really throw it in the air. So it's really important to like think about these things when you're on the tee pad. Think about like, okay, where do I want to throw it? Am I throwing it completely flat? Like in this field, obviously there's nothing crazy going on, but do I need to get over this OB? Is there a bunch of rough there? Do I want to just throw it in the air? And if so, keep your throwing shoulder, or in my case, my right shoulder, I'm going to tilt it slightly up. So you can think about pushing your other shoulder down. Basically, it's going to put you here. The second I throw it, I'm gonna be throwing it up in the air without even thinking about it. Now let's talk about grip. Everyone's hands are different. You'll hear this in literally every disc golf video, so that part might not be so helpful, but I'm gonna show you my grip. There's one thing I do that is maybe slightly different than some other people. So underneath, I don't really care how you do it, but essentially my index finger is mostly holding it, and then I would say like my ring finger is putting some pressure. My pinky finger's just kind of sitting there. This is for drivers, by the way, so obviously a fist type of power grip. Now my thumb though, I'm actually trying to like pinch right on my index finger, and not only that, but I'm pushing down and then I'm tilting my wrist down, so I keep it nose down. I tend to really want to throw nose up if I just throw flat. Like if I just throw flat with my thumb like kind of pushing down with my joint here, I'll kind of throw like this, and obviously this is pretty dang nose up. So naturally, I don't want to do that. So I'll just tilt my wrist down. This evens it out for me, and I get a nice, even, flat throw every single time. Here's my form from the side. Now, it's definitely not perfect, but it allows me to throw golf shots that are like 450, and I can throw them consistently. This is one of my recent rated rounds with a bunch of backhand drives and a couple backhand upshots. So obviously I'm playing pretty decent. One thing is definitely some of my timing is feeling off comparative to some of this other pros we're about to see. One thing I wanted to point out is people were talking about my elbow dipping, and I feel like maybe if you have long arms, it's just really easy to keep it high, or some people just naturally want to keep it high. It doesn't seem like my elbow is inherently super low, as we're about to see from some of these other touring pros who are about to throw. But the biggest thing is it looks like I'm almost like going too fast when it comes to the reach max, so maybe I need to just like relax a little bit more. As you can see with like Ezra, it's not like he's reaching back or out to the side at all. He barely just keeps it right there and is completely locked with the back foot. So that's obviously where I'm trying to get to. And me personally, I'm always working on my backhand, so it's always going to get better. But like Anthony Barella's throwing a hyzer, he's super bent over. Like, do you have to be that bent over? I'm not exactly sure. Everyone's got like their little quirk and whatnot. I don't think there's like a robot out there on the Pro Tour who's throwing perfectly. As you can see, Paul Mcbeth does something a little bit weird with the hand and elbow angle right here. It kind of like goes at some strange angle, as we see in very slow motion here. It like comes up and he's like throwing it down and then he throws it back up again. So it's not completely consistent, but hopefully that helps with the analysis of my throw a little bit. All right, guys, I'm gonna throw a couple shots for you, and let's put all the steps together from part 1 and 2. So I'm gonna go over them real quick. First one is to try and let the lower body put all the power into the throw. Don't think about using the arms so much. So definitely make sure that last step is kind of out and away from you. And then this one is more applicable to me or other people with shorter arms or, you know, not as lanky, is when I'm kind of doing my run up or walk up or whatever, that I pull the disc away from me. So when it gets to here and I do my last step and I actually pull, it's just gonna come to me rather than me trying to reach back to this camera straight back, and then I end up rounding and it comes away and has to go around my body before it comes straight. A lot faster if I just pull it over here. I don't have to think about it at all. The other thing is I try not to death grip the disc, and I'm not like tensing up, because there is gonna be that moment you can see in the slow motion where you actually do kind of tense up your forearm without thinking about it, or at least I do. And I think most of the other pros do the same. So there's no reason to death grip for the whole time. You're not trying to really like destroy the disc. You're just trying to make everything line up and then pull through. Now, 2 other tips: body angle. So if I'm gonna throw out into this field over there, I'm gonna have my right shoulder slightly up. I don't want to throw it into the concrete. And on top of that, I'm gonna throw a little bit of a hyzer, or actually it's tailwind, so I might be throwing pretty flat and just trying to have something turn over a little bit, and then the wind's probably gonna push it down into a hyzer. Angle of your body, so if you're leaning forward, it's a hyzer. If you're leaning back, it's an hyzer. And then shoulder position is gonna determine the height, essentially. Last tip is the grip. This one's more for me, but basically something that's comfortable. And then I tend to throw nose up if I don't do this, so I'm kind of pushing down with my wrist and my thumb. That way the disc is completely flat when I actually throw it. Anyways, let's throw a couple. I'm gonna throw like 65%. Hopefully some consistent flights for you guys to show you guys that it doesn't take all that much effort to at least get the fundamentals down. All right, that's at least the same line. Okay, this is a flippy disc. But wow, it goes far, doesn't it? Basically 3 out of the 6, exact line I was looking for. And actually that yellow one that flipped over, exact same release point. It's just pretty flippy distance driver, max distance driver. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully these tips help you throw a little bit better backhand. Like, I'm not trying to throw super far, and they're still going pretty far. You know, I'm not going very fast in the run up. I'm not really trying to throw hard. I'm literally just trying to throw hyzer over the porta potty over there. Hopefully you guys get the point that I feel like if you incorporate these 5 steps, it'll help you out a lot. Anyways, guys, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe if you're new here, and I'll see you guys in the next one.